And whenever these two teams play, there's a little bit of magic in the air, kind of like you and me, right?
A little bit.
Yeah,
Is
a
this
lot
when
of
we
magic in
stare,
the air.
like longingly at each other?
Yeah.
Instead of, we should look at the draft, but we already are, okay.
What I'm going with this is, so far Na'Vi in this tournament, they're 5-0 in this LAN stage.
Yes.
That's an impressive stat in its own right. But Na'Vi, Alliance just got Wisp, which is definitely one of their go-to hero after Nature's Prophet. With that said, Na'Vi is okay giving away the Wisp because they banned out Tiny.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting way of going about it. It just says to me that Na'Vi are prepared for the Wisp, but the Tiny combination with the Wisp is what makes it scary to me most of the time, unless you're going for this kind of composition where you want to just win 2 lanes by having like a dual lane mid, for example, and then you put another safe lane together where you get a favorable matchup. And that's also a pretty decent way of doing it. You still have things like Sven available, you have like Phantom Lancer, even PA. Alliance has been known to run in the past with that.
Sure.
I think the PA is less likely though, because against Leshrac and Gyrocopter without BKB, you pretty much just get annihilated. So I'm curious as to see what that partner is, as Bristle is also being taken out by Na'Vi. So Alliance favoring the Beastmaster over getting one of the more tanky heroes to partner up with the Wisp. Wondering what they're going to get.
I'm not sure. I always believe behind the Tiny Wisp combo is the Wisp.
Yeah.
Behind a very successful Songman is always that little ball. And I think Wisp is strong enough of a hero that you don't need to pair it. Like, it's not CK Wisp, it's not Tiny Wisp. For me, it's just the Wisp. Now, here's
even
the thing.
Wisp Beastmaster isn't even that bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. The hero alone just changes how the game is to be played. How Brewmother, for example, changed the last game.
Yeah.
What I'm worried about is the fact that Soneko's hero was not touched. I think Earthshaker, to me, was the MVP of the last game. How he salvaged the mid lane for Dendy, how he won the bottom lane, and now Winter Reverend is a Wisp counter, or at least a Wisp whatever combo counter, right? You relocate in, you immediately ultimate on the Wisp dies, and suddenly that hero is trapped.
I like the Winter Wyvern pick for a handful of reasons. Not only because you can just instantly kill the Wisp, but because in general, just having the Shaker, it doesn't limit your lanes a ton, but it does a little bit, whereas the Winter Wyvern still leaves them very open. So Na'Vi, if they want to go for an aggressive lane, have their Gyrocopter Winter Wyvern available to just do like a tri-lane with another hero, they can still do that. It's not making any of their lanes any weaker at all. They're still probably going to have that Leshrac either in the farming position or mid. Probably mid though, because we already see the Gyro, and Havos kind of plays both of the heroes, and I don't think I've seen Dendy Gyro before. So if that happens, that would be kind of a treat though, because something new. But Alliance now, after their Wisp and their Beastmaster, I think they'll probably just save their Wisp partner hero for a little bit later on, try to secure themselves a little bit of better lanes. I would even say, like, Vengeful Spirit I thought was a really nice pick last game against the Beastmaster. This game, I think it would actually be very good against what Na'Vi have currently, for the same reason that, like, Winter's Curse is a very good tool for disabling. You can still try to save for that, but they're going to stick with what they know. They're going to go ahead and pick up the Bane, which I still feel is very strong.
I think man loves this hero.
Yep.
Even back in the day when he played for...
Oh, they get them both. All right.
Alliance's turn.
So
MTW, right? Was I think Matt played.
MTW, yeah. That was like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
I think so.
Something like that.
Way
yeah.
back. He loves this hero. But Earthshaker, like you said, being picked out. I still imagine that Soneko is going to play the Winter Wyvern and have Arcel play the Shaker.
It could also be Funnick Shaker, depending.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. How has Dendy's Leshrac has been for you?
I mean, it's one of those heroes where
much, honestly.
I don't feel like when I watch Leshrac, I don't think it's one of those heroes that has a ridiculously high skill cap, right?
Well, the items that he get generally don't require skill cap. It's the Yules for the guaranteed setup, the Bloodstone for the ultra tankiness, Glimmer Cave for more tankiness. We don't see like Blink Yules, Blink Leshrac, for example.
Yeah.
It's just not that good of a build.
Yeah, I think for me personally, when I watch Na'Vi, I prefer to see Dendy on heroes where he can really shine. Like Queen is, I think, a much higher skill cap hero than Lesh, in the sense that Leshrac is fairly immobile. Like, he walks around, he gets into the middle of team fights.
Right.
And for the majority of the laning phase, you're just throwing out Lightning Storms to CS, right? So,
Viper.
Yeah, Viper is still very solid here. It's a hero that Pycat loves, by the way. Viper and Sniper, the two rhyming heroes that are probably the bane of most pub games, at least in 6.83. But this is a great lane bully. I'm not sure how well it does against Lesh. Probably stops him from using Lightning Storm to CS as freely, because you will take a bit of damage from Corrosive. But I still think Na'Vi have the tools to be able to gank and burst him down during the mid game. I think the Alliance just always want to have heroes who can fight, like all the time.
Okay, I know this is a long shot, but is there any chance to see a Beastmaster mid, Viper safe lane by Loda, and an Emerald Bulldog Lone Druid? Just to give him one of the strongest push possible. Quick mech from Viper, quick aura from Beastmaster. This is like playing it from a year or two ago. It's almost unheard of now for Beastmaster to go aura, simply because the boar and the axis is so important for the early game. You farm for the quick necro, and then you pick up the aura.
I guess my one question to that would be, has Pycat played Beastmaster before? Like,
I'm not sure.
I think it's almost exclusively been Bulldog who plays the hero. So
and again, to be fair, that hero to me is one of the best offlaners now.
Yeah. That's also because we saw last game, right?
Yeah.
Like in a situation where he was even in the lane that got ganked, Bulldog was still able to make a lot happen with just having a book 3 and getting a roar off, killing Funnick a few times when Funnick had like 1.5 times his own net worth. So I think the hero is in good hands and very capable hands in the Bulldog here. But ban out from Na'Vi is actually going to be Ursa. So they're assuming the Ursa Wisp pairing very good for being able to abuse Roshan, which the sides have switched this game, by the way. As last game, Na'Vi were playing on Dire, now Alliance are going to be Dire for game number 2. And Darkseer last ban out from Alliance. So Na'Vi, they are going to be able to get their hands on a Chen, and that does mean we're going to be seeing the Funnick Shaker. Okay, so he played 2 Beastmaster games in LGD Int and 1 with Alliance. So yeah, very seldom does he play the hero, is what we're getting at.
I don't think that will be the case. I'm also very curious on the statistic, if Noxu could look it up for us. What's the win rate when you get both Gyro and Leshrac? Because to me, those two are the most successful heroes of this patch.
I think they're actually picked together a lot.
10 seconds remaining.
I'm not sure what the win rate is. I'm just saying, like, you commonly see these heroes paired together.
Because you generally give away Undying or Wisp, and you just immediately snap up those two, right?
Yeah. I mean, looking at it on paper, I think that Na'Vi have a ridiculous amount of control. Like, you have Chen for the early gank, or maybe you even have Lane strong enough to where he can just farm up if he wants to go for, like, quick arcanes or maybe a mech. You have offlane Shaker. Funnick is obviously very capable on it. Sonico on Winter Wyvern, who I would say he single-handedly won his team the game with his ultimates on that hero the other day. And Alliance actually going to be going with the Wraith King carry. Interesting. I actually like this a lot.
It's amazing pick this game.
As most melee heroes you would really want to stray away from if you're playing against Winter Wyvern, for obvious reasons, because you could very easily get kited or you just get cursed and then you die before the curse duration ends. But if you have 2 lives, then you might be able to either bait out BKBs, you might be able to go in and eat enough spells to where your Viper, your Bane, your Beastmaster can make some work happen. So I'm curious to see how this works out. This is a hero I have not seen played very much lately.
Here's the big concern you have for Wraith King. Wraith King by himself is not going to output too much damage, simply because of what Winter Wyvern could do. You just popped it on the ice block, and he has to switch target, he's going to get kited. With that said, Radiance just got buffed. And Radiance late game on Wraith King is actually one of the most annoying things you could possibly deal with. He's very tanky, he's got 2 lives. I'm not sure if he's going to get Radiance, but...
I think Radiance would be a little bit risky, at least as a first item.
Not as a first item, I'm talking about 3rd, 4th item. But that's really far down the road. Let's talk about the heroes and the players. Alliance on the side of Dire, effing mad on that Bane that he loves so much. Pycat sort of going on the off lane right now. No, it looks like they're just contesting the rune. He's playing the Viper. We have Loda playing the Wraith King. Ake on his famous Wisp. Last but not least, Admiral Bulldog playing Beastmaster for a 2nd time, and honestly, he played it very well last game.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he can make happen this game, because it was a very good performance, even though they managed to not win that one. But Na'Vi here, we have Funnick. We're going to be seeing on the Earthshaker. Next to him is going to be Dendi, handling Leshrac. We're going to have Vos playing Gyrocopter. We're going to have Artstyle playing on the Chen. And lastly, that leaves Sonico on one of his signature heroes again. It seems like his Shaker and his Winter Wyvern are just on a completely different level whenever I watch him play this.
Are we going to get to a point where those hero gets targeted? Maybe not in the first phase, but...
It's hard to target a Winter Wyvern, though.
That's true.
Because all of his abilities have pretty significant range. The one downfall...
target as in target ban him.
Oh, you mean ban out the Winter Wyvern. I think because of what happened in the first game and the Broodmother coming out as a 5th pick, the 2nd phase bans are the only place where I would really justify doing respect ban to that hero. And they were too, like, they probably have PTSD over that Brood pick, right? So they're just saying, okay, we ban out the Brood in the 2nd game for sure. And they're probably not thinking about it right now. It also depends on the performance this game. But I mean, this is like, their life is on the line in this series. If they lose this game, they're going to be dropping to the lower bracket.
One of the very few times you see a support being allowed to pick up that bounty rune. Obviously, Wisp picking it up for that quick bottle, being delivered out. And so Nico's trying to snipe this. No, it looks like not. A very interesting spot for him to start the game at. I'm not sure what exactly he's looking for. Okay.
Well, He will see at the very least that there's going to be an aggressive tri lane coming out from the side of Alliance, and there is not really a whole heck of a lot an Earthshaker is going to be able to do against this. And assuming they control the lane, they should be able to keep Funnick low level for a fairly long time.
Being completely zoned out of experience range. Meanwhile, Soneko does have the boots, and of course, Arctic Bird being a way to fly over the cliff if he wants to go on the Viper right now. Viper actually did not put his first point in Corrosive Skin, and he's eating a lot of extra lightning damage because of it.
Well, I don't think the magic resistance itself is what matters at the first point, although it
helps.
Technically, it is the most valuable point in terms of flat-out magic resistance. I think just having the capability of orb walking is pretty nice. Artstall coming in with a side with the Chen, gets a stomp off onto Pycat. The stun's going to follow it up from Dendi. The Nightmare to save. Is it going to be enough to keep Pycat up? It will not. Dendi secures the first blood, and Chen also is able to take out Ake, so 2 very fast kills going the way of Na'Vi.
One of the best start that Na'Vi could have hoped for, and that's going to be Dendi's bottle immediately. And whatever Viper could throw as harass is going to get shrugged off as a result. Also, with the offensive Chen, not only is he putting pressure on both the mid and top lane simultaneously, he is essentially securing the top rune because it's so dangerous for any support or Viper alone to go to check the top rune. So right now, I think Na'Vi in the past minute or so has really secured their early game.
Well, I think that one rotation was very good for them, but let's not forget what happened in game 1, right? Like, Alliance had an amazing start, and they, like, Na'Vi managed to pull it back.
That's definitely true.
I think that this game, without the use of that kind of niche Broodmother pick, they might not be able to have that stranglehold on the game like they did for so long, just because of that Brood. Could be seeing a very, very back-and-forth game.
On the bottom lane, how's that Earthshaker doing? He's managed to actually get level 3, mostly thanks to the fact that Bane as well as the Wisp rotated to the side, and he was able to get his key levels. Levels is not that important for a Shaker. He really just wants the blink.
It's pretty important. I mean, having extra levels into Aftershock is still very
It's true,
key.
but it's not like, for example, Centaur getting 6, right? It's you really just want the gold, and gold is something that he won't get this game, at least not with the current setup. But looks like effing mad. That fissure was well off, and looks like he should be able to run away. Arctic Burn just coming off cooldown in a couple of seconds.
I'm just saying, that wasn't a Sonico fissure.
No.
He would have found a way to block him with that somehow. I don't know how, but it would have happened.
Sonico fissure.
But that actually should have been a kill, which is a fair point to mention. Like, if you let somebody walk away like that, and you have 3 heroes kind of walking around in the jungle trying to commit to that, it's not great. So even though Funix managed to get some from his lane, he needs to be more on point on his physical usage.
How's that top lane doing? Beastmaster actually be able to equalize on farm, but I think as Savos gets more levels, that flat cannon is gonna be more and more difficult for him to deal against.
I think Bulldog picks up a bottle here, though. Yeah, he's got it in his inventory already, so if he wants to do bottle crowing and such, he can. Viper is not really the hero who abuses the crow too much, so if he wants to be able to sustain himself here, it shouldn't be too difficult. And they're even going to spot out Havos in this top lane. Could be looking at the first kill for the side of Alliance here in game number 2. Bulldog taking some damage from the Rocket Barrage, who just kited out so far. Throws out a boar. Bulldog will get the last hit, and Alliance are on the board.
Very good play by effing Mad. He saved his Nightmare just in case if any supports from Na'Vi's side come in, then they would actually get 2 kills. Instead of just Nightmaring the Gyro, they would Nightmare the support.
Well, not only that, but just in case the Gyro managed to get too far away. Like, you technically want to save your Nightmare for if the target gets too far to attack anymore, and you use it at like the last second.
Or he also decides to TP out, because that was their only stun. So well played on multiple ends. Pycat actually recovers fairly decently, not on the CS chart because he's down behind by quite a bit, but at least on the level department. He's holding his own in the lane. That magic stick is going to help out in terms of the survival department as well.
He's going to need a gank, though. Like, there's no way he just wins this lane from the start that he's had, and Sonico is going to spot out. Mad here on the high ground. He's eating a couple of auto attacks from that Arctic Burn. Dendi, not enough mana to throw out another spell. Brain Sap to equalize the health for the time being. Throws out a Nightmare too to keep himself safe. Funnick with the fissure. Does that actually block? Oh my god, it actually does.
He's not salving up.
He was not going to live. No way. That was a very, very nice fissure from Funnick. Much better than the first one.
Well, you're saying that Pycat needs a gank here, but it seems like every attempt that Alliance has rotated supports Sonico, and to a certain extent, Funnick is also always here.
Well, I just meant he would need a gank if he wanted to really win the lane.
Right, but I'm saying these ganks are helping him lose the lane further, because then he appreciates the free kills that he's getting.
Yeah, that is very true. But we can also see that the farm isn't too bad from Alliance. The Wraith King and the Beastmaster are still farming pretty well. It's not as if it's a huge advantage for Na'Vi in terms of who's farming what lane. And Viper is still recovering a little bit, so that time that Dendy spent chasing around, he does get a kill, but Pycat has managed to close the gap in terms of CS.
So in the past, when we see Wraith King carries, it's generally a Blink Dagger first.
Bottom lane.
Yep, nice stun here and open it up, but here comes a Centaur. In fact, the Centaur is not going to hit the stun on Ake. He will go down to the Havos Gyrocopter. The Rocket's going to come down, call down being gone at level 6 after that kill. Havos turns thing around.
Artstyle's rotation so far have been on point. I don't know if it was just happenstance that the first one kind of went that way, but he walked right into the supports as they were ganking mid, and Pycat in a lot of trouble here. One more bottle charge from Dendy should be able to seal the kill, but not going to be able to pop it though because of that pesky level 3 Corrosive skin.
So given how the game's going, is Blink...
Actually, does level 3 Corrosive stop bottle?
You need more than 20 damage, I want to say, to stop the bottle.
So actually I don't think it does. Maybe it does. I don't know. I don't play against enough Viper. Who knows?
Lucky man.
Yeah.
Those heroes that nobody wants to play or play against.
And things have kind of quieted down at least a little bit. There's a couple of kills here and there, but I think that Na'Vi are the ones with the Chen. Like they're controlling the lanes really well at this point, and Lightning Strike gonna hit onto Pycat. Arctic Burn doing some damage as well. Bulldog's here to throw out a couple of axes, but they're going to be able to take down Pycat anyway. The stun follow-up from Dendy, and now they want to try to kill Artstyle. He's very low at the moment. Gets put inside of the Cold Embrace, and we'll be fine. And I got to say, it seems like 2 games in a row, the last pick from Na'Vi is just doing the most amount of work in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, Chen is one of those heroes you want to pick once you have secured the lanes, or if those cores don't really need help. But so he can focus on jungling. But this game, he's primarily focusing on ganking, and it's working out. A big part of that gank was also Soneko having a double damage with his Arctic Burn. He was dishing out a ton of damage from a support standpoint. So right now, Gyro's farming well. The Shrek's farming extremely well. And Earthshaker, you know, he's getting his levels. He's gonna get Soul Ring as well. So I think Na'Vi is very happy with how the game's going, and obviously the 6-1 is just icing on the cake.
It seems like there have been a lot of kills, but we haven't really seen any towers dropping yet. The farm rates are still pretty consistent on both teams. The only thing that's a little bit worrisome is Pycat is getting held down a heck of a lot. But, I mean, putting that much emphasis on the Viper, I don't really think Viper's that good of a comeback hero, if that makes sense. Like, playing from behind on that hero, it's like, it doesn't really feel that great, because you kind of want mech, you want tanky items, you want to be able to go for your Aghanims as well, eventually, be able to just kite out people in the fights. And I think if Na'Vi keep applying pressure like this, he will probably be the one that suffers the most.
One of those heroes that needs to play from ahead, needs to be tanky, and he's not getting it. I mean, the tower eventually will come from Na'Vi, because they have a Chen. They have Leshrac with the Diabolic Edict at some point, so I'm more worried for Alliance. Again, second game in a row, I'm asking, you know, what is the catch-up mechanic here for Alliance?
They do have the Wraith King with ultimate now. I mean, he can put himself in harm's way, get a decent amount of damage, maybe allow the Beastmaster to get off a decent roar, have the Viper throw out some damage as well.
It seems like he's going for Midas.
Yeah, he probably is. I mean, the Midas on Wraith King is actually insanely good, because every single point into Reincarnation drastically increases how often you can utilize your ulti. And that is pretty much the bread and butter of a Wraith King. Plus, the levels also allow you to get more points in the Mortal Strike. Gonna see a roar here. Dendy could be taken down. Sonic Go, he's gonna teleport in, react. The Hand of God already popped Cold Embrace, keeping him alive for a very long time. The heal's proving to be a little bit too strong, and I'm fucking mad. Might be in some trouble walking up to the high ground. Eats a couple of Arctic Burn autos there from Sonic.
Well, that's fine. Look at the bottom lane. All the time being bot, and you talked about pushing tower. Navi's pushing for 2 towers in a row. Yeah, that tower's going down without any assistance. No back off. Midas is finished, but generally when you get Midas, actually getting Midas against a Chen is not too bad, but just the amount of pressure they're facing against, I'm not sure if this Midas will pay for itself.
I guess the counter argument to that would be, what item does he buy that actually makes him able to do anything? Because I think a blink, you're not doing enough damage and you're not tanky enough. I think having anything other than a blink means you can't really initiate unless Na'Vi walk into you. It just feels like there isn't really a great choice, so Midas is still okay.
I think Blink is a fine choice to initiate if you have heroes like, for example, Gyrocopter that could dish you the AoE damage from the back, but there is no damage, especially now with the Viper very far behind. Also, Blink, you could blink in and stun somebody, but as we see, Soneko's been doing a very good job keeping people alive with Cold Embrace, so it seems like this is the only choice, like you said. And are they going to just get Reincarnation for free? Yes, they are. and there will be no return for Alliance.
They're just not going to TP for this at all. There's Arctic Burn going out onto Loda right now. Dendi is almost in range for another Lightning Storm. They're going to spot him out. Here comes the Roar from the back, though. Funnick is the first one to get caught out from the side of Na'Vi. He's getting chased down by the board. Bulldog, he gets fissured. Couple of spirits coming in from Ake, dealing some damage. Hellfire Blast and another kill finally on the board here for the side of Alliance.
I think Soneko wanted to actually wait to the very last moment to pull Embrace, but Beastmaster kind of just died before that happened. So a very much needed kill for Alliance. And the fact that they didn't even have to TP is a little bit extra going for them.
Well, they are losing their tier 1 middle in the meantime. Na'Vi grouped up here in mass. Pycat walking in, looking to try to deter the push, but instead ends up giving away his own life. He does manage to Viper Strike Havos, despite ulti, before he ends up dropping there. Alliance will get the mid-tier 1 deny, so I guess that's a little bit of icing on the cake. And Bane now has his ultimate, so the Fiend script now being available means that if they manage to catch somebody out, should be a pretty easy pick-off. There are a couple of ways to interrupt Fiend script in this game, but Shaker and Leshrac are the primary two. And then I guess a Chen creep if you have like a Net or a Chen with a Centaur.
Yeah, I think the key thing is that, like you said earlier, these last picks from Na'Vi, the Broodmother last game, the Chen this game, is just, they're not having enough answers. Or any answers. And for, again, a second game row, Pycat is just being shut down. And I think it's much worse to have a Viper being shut down than Shadow Fiend. At least Shadow Fiend could catch up and farm. Like we talked about Pycat, what is he really going to do at this stage of the game?
Yeah, it is a bit of a rough position, but I think these are the types of games that can be turned very quickly just by 1 or 2 fights. Because there's nothing on the side of Na'Vi that just says, we will have a stranglehold on this game because of our late game carry potential, or just because our lineup is like better at this stage in the game than yours. I think it's more like they're just playing very well during the early game, and these are the games that have a tendency to have the most volatility when fights break out in the later stages.
I disagree. I think once Dendi gets his Bloodstone, there's next to nothing that they can kill him. I mean, sure, if they all 5 collapse on him, they can, but without Beastmaster's Necrobook, which he's still working on, the fact that there's Hand of God, there's the natural tankiness of Bloodstone and Cold Embrace, how are they actually bringing down Dendi? Dendi is going to be a huge problem in the front line. And that's also not countering the fact that there's a Chen sandbag.
What I meant was, there's a larger chance to come back in these types of games than in Game 1. Because in Game 1, you kind of had a little bit of an outdraft going the way of Na'Vi. This game, I feel like a lot of it is play. And if they try to go high ground from Na'Vi right now, as they are, and they aren't successful, it could be a very big turn for Alliance.
All right, we'll see if Alliance could make that hold. They definitely have to, as this Raxu will give so much gold to Na'Vi, and not to mention the pressure they constantly have to deal with for the next, I don't know however long this game goes. They're feeling very confident moving high ground so early into the game.
If they commit like this, it could very easily be one of the shorter games we've seen so far in the LAN Finals of DreamLeague Season 3.
Yep. And it's a good time to commit, considering that there is no call down. He's going to hit on everybody.
Oh my god.
And that was just melts. Thankfully, the respawn time is pretty low, but how is Alliance defending this push? They have a Radiance on a Wraith King. He doesn't have Reincarnation either.
Yeah, this is looking a little bit more grim, but it's only level 1 Diabolic Edict. They're going to be using the Cold Embrace to keep Habost up for the time being.
Is that a Dire Ward? Alliance is giving up this tower. This is like the, oh my god, our Raxus, or our tower is going to go down for sure ward.
Now, it looks like Na'Vi are actually going to take the safer route and maybe just go for the tier 2 in the top lane, which I think is a good play. The thing about their gyro build is, we just saw the little statistic there, that not many gyros go for Sage first, but they don't really have a frontline hero on their team, if you look at it. I mean, the Shaker, you don't really want to be in the front.
I guess the Chen creeps can.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, there's no actual hero who absorbs damage. So going for the Sange and the Treads makes Havos that frontline hero that they desperately needed, because Dendi does not want to be that guy just yet, even though he is closing in on his Bloodstone. So
despite the fact that Na'Vi did a siege for a bit, nobody actually lost any hero, apart from the Wisp dying. So I think it's still somewhat Na'Vi favored. Right now, Alliance looking for a pick that would not find, because Na'Vi understands they're so strong 5-manning, and there is nothing Alliance could do about it. So why split up?
Yeah, the splitting idea, I'm definitely on the same page as you. It's just, there's no reason actually to go anywhere else than to just continue applying this pressure, get the most map control that you can, because this is the last Outer 2 tower that they have.
Yep.
Like, after this, it's just full dark map for Alliance. They're going to get a little bit of farm in the bottom lane in trade, I guess, but not really what they're going to be looking for. Funnick also closing in on his own Blink Dagger, went for the last hit there on that tower, but didn't manage to get it.
All right, Wraith King's got 2,500 gold. Is there anything he could pick up right now to help out a lot?
I think Armlet is maybe the best bang for your buck. Then you wouldn't have buyback. So it's kind of saying...
I think if you buy back now, you probably just lose the game.
Yeah, but that's kind of where they're at right now. It's like you buy an item or you have buyback. Those are your choices. And having the Armlet could be enough to like go frontline and get a like maybe 1 or 2 lucky crits, maybe take a hero down. But then you also have to worry about the Cold Embrace.
Oh, Cold Embrace just got expended by a Centaur, but this Tornado is doing quite a bit of the work. So is the Splinter Blast. Everybody's at half HP thanks to that Tornado.
Look
and
at
the lightning. They can't
spam.
defend this. They're going to lose the tier 3 tower. There is no glyph in sight. What are they going to do?
Dire's top tower is under Dire's
I gotta
top
say,
tower
this Chen has actually been like phenomenal for me. Gonna see a
Mad?
stun, follow up here onto the
Jeez.
Bane, just dies immediately. Winter's Curse being thrown out onto Loda, will pop his reincarnation, gets the urn popped on him as well. He's still being kept alive though for the time being. The reincarnation slow on 4 members of Na'Vi. Funnick gets roared before he's able to throw out the Echo Slam, the Chen heal, and the Cold Embrace, keeping Dendi alive. One more fissure coming out from Funnick, and that'll force the rest of Alliance back in. Okay, this is looking really grim right now for Alliance. Do they have enough damage to kill anyone?
No, they don't. Call down though. However, will dish out the damage for the side of Na'Vi. They melt the Wraith King, and Emerald Bulldog's going to get clipped by the lightning. Looks like that's going to be 1 Rex, and I don't think Na'Vi's stopping with 3 heroes dead. They have so much sustain.
Dire's
I mean, from the beginning of this game, it looked like Na'Vi was doing pretty well. But to see a game end in 17 minutes, I haven't seen it here. Like, this is the first time that I've seen a performance so dominant that they were going high ground successfully at this stage in the game.
I think some other teams would have just said, you know what, we have the big advantage. Let's drag the game out. Let's get our farm on Gyro. Let's get the Bloodstone and Dendi. They don't need it. Point booster, Lesh. Let's push. They'll back out now, giving credit to Alliance. And honestly, they have a lot more time because I believe it was a level 1 reincarnation when Wraith King died.
Yeah, it was.
So he's still working with, what, the next 3 minutes not having reincarnation. He's still sitting at 2,500 gold, pondering what item he could get. And like we talked about earlier, there is honestly very little items he can get that will make this situation better.
I really do feel like a lot of this game goes just back to like the very first rotations when Artstyle went mid, managed to get 2 kills,
Yep.
and they killed Pycat off that. Like every time Artstyle went anywhere, it was just immediate success with the Chen. And when you have those types of games, it's actually very hard to fail. Like if you get like 1 or 2 really good early kills, then you just go back to farming. You've won your lane for mid pretty much just straight up from the level 1 rotation. And then your safe lane is still going fine for you no matter what, and your off lane is just a Gyrocopter versus a Beastmaster, which is A-OK. And you know the supports from Alliance, their rotation potential isn't really that great with just the Bane and the Wisp. They kind of need level 6 before they could do any real kind of work with the Wraith King and the Wisp combination. So I think Na'Vi, like, I don't want to say it was an outdraft, but it feels that way. Like, I really don't feel like Alliance can do much at this point.
I don't think the last pick Wraith King that helped at all.
I can see what they were trying to do with it, though. That's the important part is...
Well, 2 games in a row, Alliance assumed the game would go long enough for the hero to actually come into effect, which Na'Vi said no. It's not going to go long enough.
Well,
They're going to try to do a backstab, but Loda, keep in mind, he doesn't have reincarnation. It's down to half HP. He pops a play mail, which gets damage off him for a bit, but the call down will hit on Loda, and Loda's dead on the back line. Meanwhile, looks like Dendi, again, unkillable. And I think Bane is just going to be forced away. He does have a teleport scroll, but I don't think he'll make it home as Funnick blinks forward. Effing Mad is dead as well. There is a buyback here from the Wraith King, but again, he's just buying back to call GG as Alliance just get dismantled.
Yeah, that was a sub 20-minute game. Like, I don't really know what else to say. I think Artstyle, personally, for me, in game number 1, it was Sonico. He played great. This game, the draft, the execution from the Chen in general, that really nice timing on the level 1 gank in mid, caught out the supports. Ake went down, Pycat went down. From that point on, it was just... That Viper pick that was supposed to win middle lane did absolutely nothing. At the end of the game, 0-3 and 0 for Pycat. He just couldn't have an impact. And that matchup that was supposed to be winning, I don't really know what else to add to it. It just, Alliance never really seemed to get a foothold anywhere in this game. Na'Vi were just winning it from the 0 mark.
Okay, so we saw a lot of teams play so far. We haven't seen VP yet. Outside of VP, is any team beating Na'Vi?
I would say no right now.
Na'Vi looking in a very good position. Coming up next is NiP versus VP, and VP being the other kind of the secret team we haven't watched, but...
They would have been, before I saw anybody play, they would have probably been my favorite to take the whole thing outside of Empire, who obviously couldn't be here. So I think that VP, I'm still a little bit unsure of though, because I haven't seen them play in a while. Last games they played were at MLG X Games, and they ended up getting taken out. So I still want to see what they have.
Okay, but this is I think it's fair to say now, because Twitch chat is always going like Na'Vi back Kappa. I think Na'Vi back period is more like it, right?
I was very impressed with their performances here. I think the drafts especially were very succinct. Everyone was on the same page. It just seemed like a really, really good performance overall from them.
I agree. Well, strong performance. Alliance fans, don't fret. They are not out yet, but it's going to be a tough row fighting from the lower brackets.
And they will be playing the loser of the next series, which of course is NIP versus VP, in case you guys didn't know. I believe we're just waiting a little while to make sure that Jess is in position for interview.
So, I guess you're favoring VP?
Coming into the next match.
Yeah.
I think that NIP actually played okay in the games that I've seen them in.
I think they played really
well.
But
it's hard to just say a team straight up like, okay, I think this team is going to win because on paper they should win, when I haven't seen them play in a while. So I'm kind of wondering. But I still would say my gut says VP.
Yeah. I mean, on paper, I thought Alliance was going to at least, this is going to be a 2-1 series. I didn't expect this to be a 2-0. But, all right, enough about us talking about what's coming up next. Let's have Jess give us a interview with the winners.
Thank you, Lumi. So that was a great series. I'm sure everyone was very excited to see the two former TI champions facing off once again. And in Game 1, Alliance they had such a strong start. How were you guys able to turn that around and take the win?
Oh, it's a hard question. Lucky here and there, some good team spirit fights here and there, so it was cool. Yeah.
Great. And then in Game 2, you guys obviously had the early advantage, and you just absolutely snowballed and pushed pushed really fast rather, and won despite not having a classic, kind of rat lineup. What do you attribute that to? How were you able to just push so fast and win with so few team fights?
Oh, it got out of control pretty quickly after a few rotations by our supports, I guess, and after that it just snowballed.
Thank you so much. And I know it was a tough loss for you guys. Where do you think you went wrong in Game 1?
Game 1, I guess we did some crucial mistakes, and that cost us a lot. I think we had a good start, and we could have definitely used it to our advantage. They punished us for every single weakness we showed really well, so they just got back and they had this dire rushing lineup, which is hard to deal with when they are ahead, actually. And Game 2, I think, for that game at least, they really outclassed us in their rotations and decision-making early game. And they had this pick where you can't really stop them from snowballing, at least not with our draft. So outclassed in Game 2, and Game 1, some decision-making problems, I guess.
And now that you are in the lower bracket, what do you think your chances are of making a comeback and making it back to the grand finals to face off against Na'Vi again?
It's like our chances are the same as the chances we have to actually bounce back as a team and just, learn from those losses and play better. If we do, then our chances are as high as they were before we played that series, and if we don't, then they're very low. But I'm pretty sure we will, so I guess they're still high. It's up to us right now.
That's a great optimistic attitude to have. Thank you so much, both of you, and best of luck to both teams going forward. Now we are going to go to a quick commercial break, and then after that, we'll be right back with Shiver and the analyst desk.